Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Public Service Commission of South Carolina's Rule to Show Cause hearing in docket number 2020-269T. Before we get started, please join me in a brief moment of silence. Thank you very much. We'll take roll. Present here in the hearing room, we have Commissioner Caston, Vice Chair Belzer, and Chairman Williams. Joining us virtually, we have Commissioners Irvin, Powers, Thomas, and Williams. Attorney Dukes, please read the docket.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon. This proceeding before the Public Service Commission in docket number 2020-269-T concerns the petition of the Office of Regulatory Staff to revoke certificates of public convenience and necessity of certain motor carriers for failure to file annual reports and/or gross receipts 2020. This hearing is scheduled for today, Thursday, February 25th, 2021 at 2 p.m. This hearing is being held virtually due to the COVID-19 pandemic. There has been no objection and no intervention. Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission, the docket is in order.
Thank you very much. Let's take appearances.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Leslie Hammonds with the Office of Regulatory Staff.
All right. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes, sir, we are.
Please proceed.
ORS would like to call Mr. Thomas McGill to the stand.
Mr. McGill, please take the witness stand and wait to be sworn in by the court reporter. Thank you.
Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Mr. McGill, would you please state your name, business address, and occupation?
My name is Thomas McGill. I work at 1401 Main Street, Columbia, South Carolina, 29201, and for the South Carolina Office of Regulatory Staff in the Safety, Transportation, and Telecommunications Department.
And what are your duties concerning annual reports?
I or someone under my direction receive, review, and process all annual reports made by transportation providers under the jurisdiction of the Commission.
And what are your duties concerning gross receipt filings?
I or someone under my direction receive, review, and process all gross receipt forms made by transportation providers under the jurisdiction of the Commission and monitor company compliance.
And what is the purpose of today's proceeding?
On November 6th, 2020, the Office of Regulatory Staff filed a petition with this commission to revoke the certificates of public convenience and necessity of certain motor carriers for failure to file annual reports and/or gross receipts 2020. As of that date, each of the companies listed in Exhibit A and B to the petition had not filed its annual report due on or before March 31st, 2020, and/or its gross receipt due by August 31st, 2020. As a result of the company's failure to comply with the statutes and regulations governing motor carriers, ORS petitioned the Commission to revoke their certificates, and the Commission set this hearing date.
And Mr. McGill, do you have a copy of the Exhibit A and the Exhibit B that was filed with the petition with you today?
Yes, I have a copy of Exhibit A to the ORS petition in this case, which was filed with the Commission on November 6th, 2020. It details the carriers out of compliance with Commission rules or regulations or South Carolina statutes for failure to file annual reports as of November 6th, 2020. I also have a copy of Exhibit B to the ORS petition in this case, which was filed with the Commission on November 6th, 2020. It details the carriers out of compliance with Commission rules or regulations or South Carolina statutes for failure to file gross receipts as of November 6th, 2020.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I ask that Exhibit A and Exhibit B, both dated November 6, 2020, to the ORS petition in this case, and was identified by Mr. McGill, be marked as Exhibit 1 and Exhibit 2 respectively, and entered into the record as evidence of the case.
Exhibit A and Exhibit B will be marked and entered into the record as Exhibit 1 and 2, respectively.
Thank you. Mr. McGill, do the Public Service Commission's transportation rules and regulations require carriers to file an annual report with the Commission or ORS?
Yes, Commission Regulation Number 103-231 states that, quote, every motor carrier operating under a certificate of public convenience and necessity and fit, willing, and able shall file with the Commission and ORS on or before March 31st of each year on forms prescribed and furnished by the Commission an annual report for the preceding calendar year ending on June 30th.
And do the Commission's rules and regulations require carriers to file gross receipts?
Yes, pursuant to Section 58-4-60 of the South Carolina statutes, the expenses of the Transportation Department of ORS must be borne by the revenues from license fees derived pursuant to South Carolina Code annotated Sections 58-23-530 through 58-23-630. Assessments to the transportation network companies pursuant to Sections 58-23-1690 and 58-23-1700, and the assessments to the carriers of household goods and hazardous waste for disposal carriers. The gross receipt forms are used to enable the South Carolina Department of Revenue to assess each household good and hazardous waste carrier in proportion to its gross income from operating in South Carolina during the preceding calendar year.
And have the certificated holders listed on the exhibits been afforded notice of the hearing?
Yes, a copy of the ORS petition in this case was mailed to each one of the carriers listed in Exhibits A and B by ORS staff. Further, a copy of notice of hearing in this case was mailed to each of the parties or their registered agent named in the ORS petition by the Public Service Commission staff on November 18th, 2020.
And pursuant to that notice, have you had any response to the petition?
Yes, since the ORS petition was filed, 11 carriers in Exhibit A have filed appropriate documentation with ORS, and 1 carrier has been revoked in a previous docket. ORS has received 11 responses of carriers on Exhibit B, 10 of whom have filed the appropriate documentation with ORS, and 1 has been granted a suspension until August 13th, 2021. Additionally, 1 carrier has been revoked in a previous docket.
And Mr. McGill, do you have a copy of the updated or revised Exhibit A and Exhibit B, both of which are dated today's date, February 25th, 2021, that were filed with the Commission in this docket today?
Yes, this that I have here is revised Exhibit A that's dated February 25th, 2021, which I prepared today of the carriers which remain out of compliance with Commission's annual report requirement. All the carriers named in this list were also named in ORS's Exhibit A to the petition in this case and have been notified by both ORS and the Public Service Commission staff that they have failed to file annual reports with ORS. However, 11 carriers have come into compliance and 1 carrier has been revoked in another docket since the petition was filed and do not appear on revised Exhibit A.
So how many carriers remain on the list as out of compliance?
There are 3 carriers listed.
Okay. And is the same revised Exhibit A that you're referring to the same Exhibit A that was filed today with the Commission?
Yes, it's the same.
Mr. Chairman, I ask that the list of carriers still out of compliance in that revised Exhibit A dated today's date, February 25th, 2021, be marked as Exhibit 3 and entered into the record as evidence.
Revised Exhibit A will be marked and entered into the record as hearing Exhibit 3.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. McGill, can you please identify the document titled Exhibit B with today's date, February 25th, 2021?
Yes, this is the revised Exhibit B dated February 25th, 2021, which I prepared today of the carriers that remain out of compliance for the Commission's gross receipt filing requirement. All the carriers that were named on this list were also named on ORS's Exhibit B in the petition of this case and have been notified by both ORS and the Public Service Commission staff that they have failed to file the gross receipts with ORS. However, 10 carriers have come into compliance, 1 carrier has been granted a suspension, and 1 carrier has been revoked in another docket since the petition was filed and do not appear on the revised Exhibit B.
And how many carriers do remain on this list?
There are 3 carriers listed on that list.
And you're referring to the revised Exhibit B with today's date, and this is the same Exhibit B that was e-filed with the commission earlier today.
Yes, it's the same.
Mr. Chairman, I ask that the list of carriers still out of compliance, as identified with Mr. McGill in the updated Exhibit B dated today, February 25th, 2021, be marked as Exhibit 4 and entered into the record as evidence.
Updated Exhibit B will be marked and entered into the record as hearing Exhibit 4.
And Mr. McGill, what action does ORS recommend that the commission take?
ORS recommends that the commission revoke the certificates of those carriers listed in revised Exhibit A and revised Exhibit B, both dated February 25th, 2021, for their failure to comply with the commission's rules and regulations and/or South Carolina statutes.
Does this conclude your testimony?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. Please answer any questions the commissioners may have.
Commissioner questions.
Mr. Chairman.
Vice Chair Belzer.
Good afternoon, Mr. McGill.
Good afternoon.
Has there been any indication of the 3 carriers remaining on Exhibit A and B, and I believe they're the same entities on both lists, any indication that they've gone out of business?
I have had conversations with 2 of the 3 and been unable to contact the 3rd, but have gotten confirmation at one time or another that they were no longer operating.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
would like to commend ORS for the work y'all are doing on this. It seems to me that the out of compliance list seems shorter than they have been in years past. So I think that's commendable to y'all reaching out and explaining the procedures and the filing procedures well to the carriers. And seems that y'all have also got a smaller number of potential revocations based in this hearing. So I'd just like to commend you and your staff and all of ORS for that work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner questions for Mr. McGill. All right. ORS, do you have anything else?
Nothing further from ORS. Thank you.
Okie dokie. We will get an answer to you on this. I'm assuming you're going to submit a final list. It's only three carriers, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that is the final list from ORS.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. This matter is adjourned.
Thank you.